Hello everyone, welcome to another Crystal Point video, and today I'm going to bring you a Type 0 deck that a lot of people are a little bit controversial on whether Type 0 should be 2 or 3 colours, or elements I should say. This is a fairly balanced, I would say, 3-element Type 0 deck. I only have one or two criticisms of it, and I've tested this for many weeks, and it's had, well, it's never actually lost the locals. Actually, I've come first in every single local I've tried this with. And it's only ever lost a few times in friendlies and Octagon even. So I've had a little bit of tweaks over several weeks, and because it's won so many locals, I feel like I have to actually share this deck. And if you are really curious about having a really nice budget deck, this is an insanely budget deck. It only has one hero, which is actually Cosmos, and that's probably £2 or £3 if you look at the right places. So it's a very, very good budget deck. It's a very good deck in general, and as long as you get a little bit of practice with it, you'll see insane results pretty quickly. So let's get right to it. As usual, we'll go down to the forwards first, and first we have the 2-cost Sync here. We have a 3 of in the deck, and Sync is, in this particular kind of deck, extremely strong. You don't even have to put this in the Type 0 deck necessarily, because she can work just on her own. Sync is a 2-cost 5k forward that she can make someone block with a fire and dull herself. Now, when you have a deck like this, when you have Size, you have Size 7 to make sure 4-costers can't block anyway, King and 9 as well, who are very often 12ks in this particular deck without even needing to do anything extra. Sync is pretty insane. I've had many games where I've played Sync, King, and by turn 3 I've got all I need. So whatever they end up playing, I'll just make them block. Again, they'll just keep going over and over again. They'll play something and you make them block as you keep developing your board, and eventually they'll just have nothing to play, and you're there with 6-7 Type 0s that can just absolutely smash face if you wanted. And just you can actually make your forwards as well do this as well. So I don't know why you would ever try that, but who knows, there might be some kind of situation in the future where you might force your own forwards to block. But Sync on her own as well, you can use home and swing, and she's just, I can't praise this card enough. It's so insane, truly insane, especially for a 2-cost. Then we have, again, all the 2-cost cadets here are pretty insane. 7, again, used in a lot of win decks without necessarily being a cadet deck, and this effectively gives you like a Opus I Golbez across the board, where none of your cadets can be blocked by 4-costers or more. So if they're playing high things like Deleter or Genesis or anything like that, you just play this down and then you attack with everything, because you've got played 2 or 3 forwards, then you play 7 and just go, okay, now I attack you with everything. So it's very insane, and this can disable Shantotto, Cloud of Darkness, a lot of AoE auto effects with Snakebite. It's just truly insane, and it just adds to the lethalness of a lot of your cards. So say you have Size, which you'll see in a minute, and they have a 4-coster, and you don't want to attack with Size because they would be killing Size. You play 7, you go, okay, attack with Size now. It's pretty much safe unless you get rid of 7. But 7 in general is just so insane, and it's something that a lot of people fear, and for good reason. And we'll go with Size next. Size can get so stupid. The 2-cost cadets in this deck are insane. With Size attacks, she can choose she has to choose one forward that your opponent controls, and it loses 1,000 power for every Job Class Zero Cadet character you control. Characters include forwards and backups. So in this deck you've got Cater, Deuce, and Rem. They can all contribute to this 1,000 power reduction. So when you have 2 or 3 backups that are cadets, and then you've got Size herself, and then maybe even 1 or 2 others, that's minus 5k on the forward easily, and it can get to insane levels if you're grinding on, or if it's just a very stalemate game. I've had Size where it's been minus 8k, and then you've even got a Black Hole effect, which is a brilliant little combat trick when you've got someone else attacking, or Size is attacking, or you just want to deal with their 7 or something like that. So it really helps push your forwards. Combine this with 7 or Sync to make someone block, so you attack with Size. Then you use Sync's effect to make someone block, and then you reduce their power. So it's almost guaranteed kill every single time as long as you do it right. So Size is a very strong attacking force, especially for just a 2-coster. And even if they deal with Size, it's only 2 CP that you've invested. They might have done a lot more investment to try and get rid of this card, and then you can just replace it, or you can just play something else, and it's only 2 CP. So all the 2 CP cards in this deck are probably among the strongest, probably in the game right now, actually. Next we have Ace. Again, free of almost every single cadet in this deck is free obs, just to get all the good S effects on, and for consistency rulings as well. Just so even if they kill one of your units, they've got a good chance of bringing out another one, no problem. Ace is a great little buff across the board, gives every other cadet 1000 power, and if you combine that with the Class Zero Moogle, you'll see that's another 1000 power on top, so that's 2000 power. And then cut cards. There are 5 aces in this deck, 3 of the fire one, 2 of the light one. So you can cut cards very often, and you can pretty much, it's almost a guaranteed kill every single time. Even 8Ks, even 10Ks can easily fall with Ace. And even if Ace's cut cards doesn't finish them off, Cater, Diablos, anything like that can always finish them off as well. It's just, you don't even need to dull to use it, so you can use it multiple times, you can use it anytime, you can attack with Ace, then use the cut cards. It's just an insane effect, and the buff is really, really nice and often swings games. Something that really is amazingly, I would say, one of the all-stars of the deck is Queen. She always has first strike wherever you contain another cadet, and that does include the backups as well. So if you have Cater, Deuce, Rem, even if you just got her on the field as a forward alone, she will always have first strike unless they get rid of the backups, which is very rare. And if you could take advantage of the Moogle and the Ace, she becomes a 9k first strike for free CP, which is insane, it truly is. And then she's got Speed Rush just to get, if you really need to get the last point of damage in and you somehow can't find a way through. But you combine this with Sync, and you just go, okay, I attack with Queen and I make your guy block. You've probably got an 8k, maybe even 9k first striker. Without even having to do anything. And then you've got loads of ping effects like Cater, Diablos, just in case they have some way of buffing their forward. So Queen is a very strong offensive and defensive card as well. So a lot of the water decks you'll see, a lot of Golbez decks, Queen just stops them outright. One card that's not particularly used for combat that often, and more of it just as a meat shield, but is more just for the colour balancing and just for keeping up the aggression, is 8. So you attack with all of your forwards, and then you play 8, and you get to activate 3 cadet. So 8 can be very cheap if you have a lot of cadet backups, and if you have been attacking that turn, you play 8 on the second main phase, and you get to activate 3 of your cadets again. So King, Queen, anything like that, anyone who you've actually been smashing face with, and then it keeps you a good defensive line for that turn, and adds another body, which with the buffs can also be a 9k for free CP. So it's just a good value card, but isn't usually the one that usually breaks through their line. Then you have King, 9, King's coming up. 9 is effectively an Opus I starter whacker, but for Type 0 units. And 9 it's just insane. It's one of those big forwards that push you through the damage. You can attack with 9 and give himself the buff, which often is always going to be a 9k or even higher with buffs, or with other cadets out. So you could easily make 9 12k quite easily. And then you've got Primal Roar, which doesn't get, I've not used that often, and often not need to. You just keep attacking with really high strong forwards, and then eventually they just have to chump, and then they just die anyway. But 9 can also be used in a sort of pseudo-defensive manner, where you attack with 9, and assuming they have nothing too strong out, you can actually buff one of your other cadets, like 7, Sync or Size, so they're stronger, and then they can attack, or they can survive any kind of EX burst that might come off the top. So it's quite a very useful unit. I've not actually, in terms of testing, 9 doesn't get played all that often compared to King, but if you don't have a King to hand, this is a really good second choice. Something that really takes advantage of the amount of cadets you can spam with a lot of 2 CP and 3 CP units is King. It's a 9,000 for 5, which pretty much on curve as it is, but for every cadet forward you have other than King, it gains 1,000 power. So King is often a 14k without even trying, with Moogle, with all the other forwards. And then when you have Sync, which allows makes them block King with whatever forward you choose, you can just use King as a sort of battering ram. You just go, okay, attack with King, bam, bam, bam. And then you can even use it defensively, so if you use point blank shot, which deals damage to a forward equal to the power, you can block with King and then use point blank shot to kill another forward. I've done that quite a few times, and King is just an insane wall in on himself. And if you pair that with 8, for example, who you activate after you attack with him, makes just you attack and they go, okay, well I'll take this damage, but then I can do a backlash. 8 attacks, and then sorry, 8 is played and king reactivates, and you can use his effect straight away. You can just use him as a wall, but he's also a fantastic unit for the next ace you're about to see. One thing that helps the consistency of the deck is this ace. It's not used too much in general, but if you have a king or a 9, it's a fantastic card to use where you play ace and then you get to play 9 or 9 or king for free. But you can also play queen, you can play sink. If you're struggling with CP for any reason, because it is a free colour deck, you can just use ace as a sort of workaround to get around the CP problem you're having, which is actually very rare. And these aces, when they die, you can bring something back. So if you have a Sice or a king out, and you have another one in the break zone, and this ace dies, you can just fetch another one back. So it's a great way to get back SFX, or if you need to replay a certain card, like I've often got back 7. So I get 7 back from the break zone, then I play 7, and then I just win the game, because they can't block, and you just keep swinging for face. But it's just a really good way. This ace is a particularly good enabler. So you've also got the fire ace for cut cards for any target with this, and it's a good way of getting around the colours. A one of Cosmos. Some people might not enjoy this card very much, but I find in this particular deck, the vast majority of the effects you have are single element CP, and Cosmos turn 1 is insane for this deck, because you play this turn 1, and then you just go to town. You can play anything you want at any point, and there's nothing stopping you, and you just often steamroll. I've only ever lost once with this deck where I played Cosmos turn 1. It is that good a turn. And some people might not agree with Cosmos, but in a free colour sort of thing with loads of effects like this, which you'll see with like Cater, King, Sink, Sice, 8, everything, almost everything is a single CP effect. And Cosmos is a fantastic enabler, great way to fix your elements up just in case you are not getting the right backups. And it still works with ace, so if you have Cosmos out, you can still play ace, and there's no problem. Even if Cosmos suddenly got destroyed, you'll never have more than just ace out on the field, and you will not be punished for it. Now we have Cater here. Cater is mostly there just because of the ping effect, which can be useful for queen, so you can get more people in range for the first strike damage, or just as a way to chump block and then finish something off. But it's also a cadet, and it's also very cheap, and we need to have a balance of CP colours here, so we have to be able to get all 3 of our CP elements pretty quickly if need to be, or at least just have 2 out and then just use the 3rd one whenever we can. But this is a great little cadet. Not the best 2 CP backup in the world, I don't feel, but this combined with Diablos or something else like that can give you some really good combos. Now, if you're going for the more aggressive deck, this is definitely a staple. It's a 2 CP Opus I Red Mage, which you can choose a forward, and it can't block this turn. So, if you have 7 out, but they have a 3 CP unit that is giving you a lot of trouble, or you're trying to just push through that last point of damage, or if you would be punished for being able to be blocked against it. So, I don't know, a Golbez, for example. Yeah, they've just got that on defense. You can use Red Mage to stop Golbez from blocking, so you don't have to worry about his effect, and then you just keep attacking. So if you have a lot of 2 CP forwards out and they have something stronger and you have no other way around it, Red Mage is a fantastic way to get around that. Next is a card that isn't always useful, but is a cadet in itself, so it can help with 8, Sice, Queen. So she does have sort of a passive helpfulness to her, but you've got this one, which is the 2000 damage on and attacking forward isn't always that great. You're pretty much here for the Concerto, where you just go 4,000 for every cadet you control and that cadet forward you control, and I've had this be at least 20k multiple times, and you just go, okay, a Concerto, kill your dude, because there's very little they can do about it. And it's just, again, it's just a 2 CP backup, and a deck like this you really need to have quite a lot of low CP backups just to make sure you can fix all your elements together and you have a good flow of CP. Again, this is probably come to no surprise to a lot of people, but in Lightning you have this Red Mage, and it's almost a staple in every single Lightning deck I've ever seen. For 1 Lightning you can choose a forward, well, 1 Lightning and dual Red Mage you can choose a forward and gain hastily on turn. So cadets, you can play a lot of things cheap, and some of their effects require you to attack with them, and sometimes having that 1 turn window where you have to wait before attacking can be the difference between winning or losing, or at the very least having that forward be any use to you. So having this Red Mage out is just insane, it really is. You can play 7, you can play 9, you can play Ace, King, any cadet you really want. You can just go, I give it haste, and now it's immediately relevant, and I might even win the game straight away off that. Queen particularly, or Size, can just really push through the damage, can really kill some units. And it's also, again, 2 CP backup, which we really need to fix our CPs for. Something I feel is absolutely necessary is a very minimum 2, but I'll go with 3 Moogle on this one. I had 2 for a few weeks and then decided, well, I really need, in some games, like, okay, it was a tough game because I didn't have that 1,000 extra power, so I feel like we just need to have this as one of our backup slots in as many games as possible, so we need to have 3 of these. And it doesn't do much, it just gives you 1,000 power across the board to everything, and you combine this with your Fire Ace, you have 2k across the board without actually having to do anything, and it's just a really good card to have. And it's like, for most decks you need Maria to have that effect, so you get one CP cheaper. And just a quick shout out to these sleeves because I think they're absolutely gorgeous, and they are Type 0, so if you're running a Type 0 deck and you want some good sleeves, these are pretty much the sleeves for you. I mean, I love these. So there you go, a little quick review on that. Something I almost want to put 3 of in, but I find can clunk up your deck too much, is Arecia Al-Rashia. I probably butchered that name. But this is basically your searcher, and because all of your forwards are cadets, every single one of them, you can just effectively just say added forward to your hand, because you will search for a forward. So you can use these in 2 ways. You can use this to, well, 3 ways. You can use this, say if you've got the light ace already in your hand, you can search for king, ready to do the ace-king combo, or a 9. If you need an S effect, you can search this and get the S effect you need, just pretty much on demand. And or if you have a, say, a fire backup or a wind backup, and you don't have currently another card to use, you can search out a forward of that CP just to sacrifice it to get a good get another backup straight away. So it's a great little enabler, great little fixer. And in these kind of 3-element decks, you need a lot of balance. You need a lot of searching maybe, and you need a lot of ways to fix your CP to make sure the 3 colours is almost never an issue. Something that I had 1 of and went up to 2 very recently is Rem. The Rem is pretty much there for, it's a cadet and it's the EX burst. There's very few EX bursts in this deck. It's just this and Diablos. So you have almost no way of getting EX bursts off the top of this deck very easily, so you'd be lucky to get 1 off. But the Rem, again, is just like Arecia, where you're bringing something back. So mostly the CP, or if you need the Odin, or if you need a ace again to replay something strong like king or something like that. Or often if you're late game, you just bring back 7 and you just play 7 again, and you just go, okay, I win now because I just attack and you've got really expensive stuff, and all of your weak stuff can't defend against me because I've got too much strong effects. On to the summons, and there's only 2 summons, Diablos and Odin. First off is Diablos EX burst again, so this and Rem is all the EX bursts you're going to get in the deck. So you have to be quite proactive in this deck, or at least just use a massive wall of cadets to keep yourself alive if it's going on for a while. This is the Diablos early game is pretty useless. If you have this in your starting hand and you can play a backup or just anything else, you can just discard this. It's just discard fodder. But late game it's insane. I tested this yesterday and did 10k to a forward, and also activates all your backups. So it's mostly there for the a little bit of damage, maybe with Queen or some kind of trade-up effect. Or if you're trying to get rid of something really annoying and small like Snow, or if you're trying to get rid of their own 7 if it's a mirror match. So it's just a great little way to do that little extra damage, but more importantly, it does activate 3 of your backups if you control a cadet forward, that is. So you use this, so maybe you use Cater to ping, and then you can use Diablos to deal X amount of damage to whatever, and then you reactivate all your backups, and then you can use its effect again, or you can use it to play more cadets of that particular CP. So it's just a really good colour fixer, which is why it's pretty much in here, other than a different kind of summon. And finally, it's pretty much obviously going to be like this. It's just Odin. It's just not much to say about it. Choose a forward. If it has 7,000 power or less, break it. If you control a cadet forward, break it regardless of power. So this is a very insane card. You can just play a 2 CP unit, or if you don't already have one, and then you just play Odin. You can break anything you want. And even if they're going to try and make this fizzle, they have to kill all of your cadets all in one go. So it's going to be quite a hard task for them to do unless it's on their turn. So this is an absolute staple in any kind of cadet deck, I feel. It's just too strong to ignore, and you've got to have 3 of. And often you might just have that one troublesome force that's keeping you from winning. You just Odin it, and then you just go for win. That's all you can do, and that's all you need to do often. One particular game, I went against the Golbez deck, and they tried to Odin using this Odin because it was a Golbez Cadet deck with a slightly different version to this. Tried to Odin their own Golbez to try and trigger their Golbez to get 7 and sink and size and win. So in response, as well as Golbez, he had 8, so I had an Odin as well. So I Odin their 8, which means their Odin no longer worked on their own Golbez, and it's a very advanced move, but it's one of those things. And they also had 7 out, so Golbez couldn't even block. So it's just against Golbez decks, against any combo deck particularly, this Odin can really save your bacon. And there we have it, guys. That is your 3-element cadet deck. I have played this deck minimum of 6 times in our local tournaments and in 2 different locations, and it's never not come first. It's always won. It's always found a way. It's so versatile if you play this right, and you know the deck you're against. You can just swamp anything, and you can prepare for anything. And as long as you set up your backups right, you can. It's just such a versatile deck. It'll take you a little while to get used to, but once you've got it going, you will know how to work the deck in a way that will pretty much go against any really matchup. The only bad thing about the deck, really, I would say is you need to really balance your CP in the deck building process. I feel I've done this for the most part. At most, I would get rid of a Rem and put in another Lightning Red Mage, just to get an almost equal amount of elements per backup. But it tends to work fine, especially for wind. You can just discard any wind backup you want and just directly play 7 or 8. Because they are so cheap on their own, you don't even necessarily need a backup. You can just discard the win card and just go, okay, here's 7, I win. But Sync and Sice, again, a great, fantastic combo. And then you've got, if something does go wrong, you've always got the Light Ace to fix your CP for any cadet you want and just play it immediately. And it's usually King or 9, but sometimes you might have to get Sice or Queen or Sync or something like that. It's just a really versatile card, and then get something back for the S effect. So I really hope you've enjoyed this deck list, guys. Please let me know what you think and what changes you would make. Tell me if you've tried this sort of thing yourself, how it went for you. And hopefully I will see you guys at the UK Nationals if you're going there on September the 30th. I will be there. I don't know what deck I'll be using yet. I've not even started testing. But in locals, this was just a great little fun deck because I love the cadets. And I just really enjoyed playing this deck. And it's so versatile. There's always something fresh. There's always something unique going on with it. For every deck type I've tested against and just end up playing against the locals, there's always some way around their strategy, whether they have a wall and just play 7, or if they have they're playing a lot of combo pieces, you can Sync, you can Odin or whatever at the right time to get around them. Or if you're just playing a mirror match, it's whoever kills the 7, whoever kills the Sync, whoever kills the Size first, pretty much. And yeah, so I really hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. It really helps a lot. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And I apologise for my long absence. It's been very, very busy at the store at crystalpointcards.com, where you can find all these cards. And I say it's a very budget deck. It's only 1 hero card. So if you are looking for a cheap deck and you don't want to go all out on Legends, this is an absolute fantastic deck, and it has pulled out a lot of great results for me and hasn't lost that much. So I really hope you enjoy, guys, and until then, I will see you guys next time.